What's going on, guys? Movie going, how are you? Jay Togs, what's going on? What's going on? Miami 185, hello. Arista Systems, how are you? Joshua, what's going on? Watching from work, dedication, love that. No better time to study when work's slow. Dial in. Should be a nice week this week as well as next. Dr. Eddie, how are you guys? What's going on, Aaron? How are you guys? Anthony, hello. Let me just give me a second here. I want to get everyone on. 50 viewers are ready. Let's get it going. Okay. Let's give everyone about a minute or two to log in, fellas. Ladies and gentlemen, should be a good session. Pretty excited for this one. Did a lot of prep time. Total prep time about 2.5 hours. So should be a good session for this week. Tons to cover. So it should be good. Let's give everyone a couple minutes to get on here, and we'll get started as soon as possible. Total run time for this session, guys, should be about an hour long. I'm gonna try and cram it all within an hour. So tons of good info in here. So it should be great. Colin Smith, Kiana, Anthony, Bella Bunny, Rich Squall, what's going on? Dr. Idiot, how are ya? Chris Hedgerden, Chuck Woody, Jay Currency, how are you guys? Begler, how are you guys? Awesome. Looks like people are still trickling on here. 60 viewers here in the first minute. So just give everyone, I typically like to get started around 7,500 viewers when everyone's sort of logged in, ready to go. Have your pen and paper ready, as well as, to take some notes, as well as laptops if you guys aren't mobile. So should be a nice session. Michael, how are you? Gajan, how are you? Sorry as usual if I pronounce names wrong as well. I try my hardest. Awesome. So I think I'll probably get started here about 2 minutes in on the live feed. Okay, we just jumped to about 70 plus viewers. Excellent. Awesome. Thanks for everyone jumping on here. 5 p.m. on a Monday. Obviously, markets are closed today. I'm Spud from Spud Zone. You can follow me on StockTwits Weeble. Those are our two main channels, as well as obviously our premium Discord. You can follow our options team, myself, and any other traders and moderators in there. Tons of educational content. Before we get started and sort of cover what we're going to do today, I have a couple of things, obviously topics that we're going to cover today. 5 separate topics. I'm going to try and get through them pretty quickly. Lots and lots to cover today. First off, disclaimer, not a financial advisor. Trade off technicals, volume analysis, momentum indicators, macro trends that fit within my trading criteria. Obviously, my content should not be used for any information to buy or sell security. I'm not a financial advisor. I trade and alert basically what I'm playing and looking to trade within real time. Everything mostly based on the technicals and the charting. So, obviously we've talked about this for years. As you guys know, you guys love these videos, so obviously I continue to make them. So let's kind of jump into a little bit just to discuss the topics we're going to cover today, and I'm going to try and bang all of them out. First one here, guys, talking about the red start to my trading year. I challenge myself this year. I opened about a little $5,000 options account, and I'm going to be trying to trade through that and see what I can do with it, whether it's going to go to zero or whether we're going to take that up a couple notches and really challenge myself. And that will be strictly just options and beta plays throughout that small account challenge. And then obviously I'm starting small on my other account. And so down about $8,900 to start the year from the last probably 3 or 4 days trading on that account. So not a good start for me. Red start to the year. And it seems kind of crazy because everyone's, there's tons of opportunity out there. And I was pretty net short bias coming into this year. And I'll show you guys where I sort of saw some potential pivot points on the charts. And, things have been pretty irrational, I would say, the last couple of trading days. I know some folks who got smoked on the short side as well as some, index side as well. So, there's a lot of big moves, drastic moves occurring. You got the Dow Jones. We'll talk through some of the indexes as well. Some of the big outperformers, underperformers. And then we're going to go through some topic 2. We're going to discuss really some technical analysis, guys, from the SPY, QQQs, and the DIA, Dow Jones, QQQ, NASDAQ, and we'll talk through the S&P 500. And then topic 3, going to quickly discuss 3 earnings watches I'm watching this week for some potential volatility, maybe some setups I'm looking at. And, we're obviously going to take a look at the charts and see where we might be going after earnings, up or down. Topic 4, going to talk through, guys, for all the new traders as well as experienced traders. I have to reiterate, you're always going to see me talking about what does a tape look like? What does the Tesla tape look like? What does the SPY tape look like? What does a small cap, heavy volume play look like? Is this tape strong? Is this tape weak? And so you'll always see me referring to what the price action looks like, right? Are hundreds of millions of dollars being bought at a specific area? Are hundreds of millions of dollars being sold at a specific level? And all those are really just how I like to look at trades. So we're going to talk through sort of what looks like a strong price action, what looks like weak price action. At the end of the day, for me, I don't care whether things go up to the moon or whether they go to zero. I play long and short both ways. I'm an intraday trader. So it doesn't really matter. I just want volatility. And so I need strong or weak price action to be able to have conviction in making a trade. Topic 5, we're going to talk through this crypto craziness, sort of the last maybe 3 or 4 trading sessions. And that we've seen some pretty crazy rallying going on. Keep in mind, a lot of people seem to forget, a lot of these names are down 80, 90, 95% plus, some of them. So, things that are popping 30, 40, 50, 60, 70%, they're not even getting close to their moving averages. So, they're still in a huge bear market. These names are pretty heavily short, so I imagine there was maybe some risk off, profit taking, some short squeezes on the last couple of days, taking profits, which may be also helping this move to the upside. But obviously, as I always say, you can never ignore price action. Price action dictates market movement. So we have to respect the buying and we have to respect the selling in these types of markets. So those are the 5 topics we're going to cover today. I'll start one with really the topic 1 and just talk through sort of managing my risk. And while I took some losses over the past couple of days, I had some puts on Starbucks, had some puts on Caterpillar. I was short a little bit equity on both. Ended up taking losses on Thursday into Friday session as well. Both days are both loss-taking days. Had some nice long scalps on Bed Bath & Beyond, ticker BBBY. That had a nice 120. I'll probably pull it up here just to show. That had a nice little tick down all the way to, which we'll discuss, maybe some of that hype, but that was just a purely momentum, big volume name. They announced potential filing for BK, dropped about 50%, 60% in 2 or 3 days time from the 2s all the way to 130s. Then we had a nice sort of 1, 2, 3, 4-day ripper, sell at the peak here, and then there's a nice short inside bar the other day, down 30% in 1 wick yesterday. Friday. So a lot of opportunity on that name, 127 all the way up to the high 5s, and then shorts sort of took over, sellers took over on a big profit-taking day Friday. So that was an interesting move. It was long on some of those, made some scalps long a little bit, nothing really with any types of size. Didn't make too much going up there, but my losses basically, my big losses, a couple on Starbucks puts. This is a name that just continues to amaze me. We hit this gap up in here. I thought maybe we'd start to hit the fade button, but this seems to want to fill that sort of double tap gap at around 114, 115 zone up in here, which I'll also reference the DIA, which is the Dow Jones Industrial. I'm going to talk through some of that stuff as well, which is a lot of the consumer staples and industrial names. Caterpillar. Insane as well. Absolutely insane. Trading at all-time highs right now, guys. Trading at a 20-year plus high PE. There's just so many red flags on these industrial dividend names. Everyone's just crowding trading them. Everyone's piling into them. People don't seem to even care about the price or PE they're paying for them. They're just getting out of technology, getting out of high beta, and there seems like there's a chase in these markets, these chase and dividend names I've never really seen before, and people are chasing them. And it's crazy to me that a lot of these names are just double, triple, quadruple price from just a few years back. And these are names that typically grow at like a 10% clip with a nice dividend. And some of these names, guys, are trading 18, 20, 25, 30. Starbucks is trading at 31 PE. Just keep in mind, if Tesla comes in at earnings and they're okay, the current PE at Tesla right now is 21. So you're paying a 10 times premium on Starbucks coffee versus a Tesla. That just shows you how crazy expensive potentially some of these dividend names are getting. And so, I'm looking at some of these as potential basically long, short opportunities within the next couple days, weeks, months, because I still have the bias that a lot of these earnings reports are not going to hold up in the coming quarters. They might be okay this quarter, maybe next. But I think, margin compressions maybe can occur here. And this is what I think a lot of the bears, a lot of big money on Wall Street's waiting. That's why a ton of that's why a ton of fund managers are pretty much cash. They're in the bank yields, they're in the high yield stuff, waiting for the equity market to really start to take a hit. And it hasn't. So I'm going to talk through some of that, but I'm going to talk through some of that shortly. But really back to the first real topic one here, guys, in terms of managing risk. I had to take losses because for example, if I'm in long calls or long puts in this scenario, I had some $90 puts for Starbucks in February and March. And when those start to hit the 20-30% sort of loss area, I don't lose conviction in the trade, but I lose conviction enough to continue holding that position because I can always take a loss and re-enter. Typically, if I get to that 20-30% threshold, I know I can probably get a better price. Over the years, I've learned to just accept the loss, move on, take the loss. It's always another trade. If you could win 50, 60, 70% of your trades and keep the losses as minimal as possible, you can be a really great trader. You can be really good at this. And I've always said that across the years, it doesn't. You can win 50% of your trades and lose 50% of your trades. But if 50% of your trades are great winners and 50% of your losers are very small, very calculated risks, you're not losing too much, but you're doing really well on your winners. So there's a ton of things you can do in terms of managing risk. When I like to get down 20-30% in something, I cut it because therefore if it goes below 30%, maybe you're down 40%, 50%. Keep in mind, now that you're down 50%, you need 100% move on an option contract, right? Just to break even. And so when you start to get in that threshold, it's sort of that hold and hope mindset. There's plenty of books out there, to read about around managing risk and different trading mentalities like that. But I've always, in terms of my experience, I've learned the hard way. I've taken major losses over the years based on not being able to cut losses quickly. And so, it's sort of a trigger in my brain. When I'm down a certain percentage, I take it, I forget about the trade, I clean my head, I take a breath, and I look for maybe the next trade. That could be the next day, next hour, next week, next month, etc. Whatever the sort of the trade, timeline is. And then in terms of basically charting, I mean, I had great calculated risk with some of the trades I had last week, but we had some really irrational buying on Thursday and Friday. And I mean irrational in the sense that it seemed like a chase. Everyone just wanted to, oh my God, get me in sort of mentality. And it seemed very a little chasey to me. And I'm talking the large cap stuff. I haven't talked about any small med caps, but it seemed a bit chasey to me. And so I was a little hesitant there. A lot of people like to sell into chase. A lot of people like to add the VIX when things are being chased to the upside. So, I'm already seeing the VIX is up pretty big right now in futures trading, which is quite an interesting sign. Already up 5 or 6% earlier on. So, that's interesting to me. So there's a lot of things I'm going to be looking at, but we're pretty much in the chart, and I'm going to talk through some of the analysis below when we jump into the index technical analysis. But really, it comes down to managing risk. If you can manage risk correctly, keeping stop losses tight, keeping manageable positions, right? Maybe using 5, 10, 15% of your account, right? These are all little tricks that I've used over the past that potentially hold you from potentially blowing accounts or losing a lot of monetary value that you really don't want to lose, have to be able to afford to lose. So, these are all little tricks. The 20-30% on a swing options contract, calls or puts is a bread and butter for me. That's one I sort of really live by. Anything weeklies, if you're scalping weeklies, obviously I don't do the ODT stuff. I think that's just ultra gambling, high risk. I even think it's just insane. I have no words for it. I think market makers win probably 95% of that time. I like maybe some scalps on the weeklies are pretty good if you get some real good volatility in a ticker up or down. Those are always great ways to potentially scalp as well on very, very small accounts. If you don't have the size to obviously just take on the equity as a short or a long. But those are obviously all opportunities to manage risks. But at the end of the day, sometimes having a no trade is the best trade. And a lot of traders tend to lose when they overtrade. And I've been in that category. I've done that plenty of times throughout my career. I've overtraded a ton. And that's when I start to really take losses, when I start to overtrade. Why not just walk away when having a green day? Why not just walk away if you're having a flat day? You don't have to take a trade. And that's sort of what I try to drill into my head daily when I wake up. And if there's no trade, then that's fine. And that keeps your consistency ratio pretty high if you're not taking on, bad setups. Okay. So let's jump into it, guys. Let's jump into topic number 2 here, technical analysis. I want to walk through the SPY here, guys, because it's pretty incredible. And keep in mind, I obviously love my lines and I love my drawings. You'll see that the sort of the vertical extended lines are where things are topping out, while the horizontal sort of flat lines are really where support and resistances are. Here's the S&P. This is the S&P 500. We are at a very, very critical point at the S&P 500, right? We topped out at 470 right here on this top wick back in early 2022, okay? Whoops. I'm going to just draw this in here. So right off the top, now we topped out again in this bear market cycle. So ready? Drop down, profit taking, buyers up, okay, rip down, okay, rip back up. It's all on the same trend line. Do we see this trend line? Just straight through, top wick, top wick, top wick, top wick. Now we're right here again at the top wick. And every single time on the last 1, 2, 3, 4 top wicks, we have fully rejected to new lows every single time, right? And that's over about almost a full 2-year period, right? So what happens now when we get into this level? Are we now going to see new lows? That's what history's saying. In the last 2 years, we're going to maybe see new lows. And that's what the chart is basically saying down in here, around to the 350s. So I'm very, very cautious in here because obviously we have the Fed's increasing rates, at a rate that's fastest of, it's insane, 1970s in terms of inflation increase. I mean, we just have so much going on, right? Eventually, it's going to affect companies in P's, margin control, margin compression, what they price per share, what they can price per earning, how they're going to afford guidance. The goal of the Feds is to slow down the economy. So I'm thinking, why would I try and fight that, right? They've been on the equity side, they've been on the market side for the last 14 years, since 2008, 15 years. So why would we try and fight them on the way down if they're trying to stop growth? It was easy going with them on the way up because they just wanted to boost the economy and just go, 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 and that's what they did. But now we're coming down. We're in this bear market cycle. We've been in a bear market for over a year now, just creating lower lows and lower highs. And so this is a key pivot point right here, guys. I don't know if we're going to reject and then sort of crash through these lows into the 330s, 340s. Probably pretty likely down in here. I don't see the upside, but obviously if we start to get a FOMO chase market back up, my targets would be that 408, 410 line, which is right exactly where we called the chart last time. These are the same lines, guys, I've had for over like 6 months now. And this line right here is exactly where we faded out. Which is around that 408, 410 zone. So if we break through the next couple weeks up into that 410 zone, that's probably where I'm going to have conviction in buying puts again. If things got pretty insane, maybe 425. I just don't see that short term. I think there's a lot of obstacles to get there. But obviously, if we do get there, that would be the second spot to potentially take profit slash maybe want to take some off the table slash maybe put on new shorts. For the downside, I think 350 is a nice potential line and maybe open some starter positions, maybe to cover shorts if you're short, as well as maybe taking any multi-year longs. And then obviously the real bearish market, and a lot of analysts on the street, a lot of bearish analysts down here are all sort of downgrading. There's a ton of analysts in the sort of 280 to 310 SPY camp. And what I mean by that, the 300 SPY camp. And this is where people sort of want to be long. A lot of folks are waiting for these levels to potentially hit to go long. And obviously over the years, you can never time the markets. And it's the hardest thing to do. Warren Buffett can't do it. No one can do it. Some of the best traders in the entire world over the last 60, 70 years in terms of the best traders still can't do it. So timing is really everything when it comes to trading. But, there's obviously different ways you can scale into positions. You can always buy 1/5 of a position, buy 2/5 of a position every dip, and then sort of trade through it. But this is the important thing I wanted to make here on the SPY, guys, is this external line here, this extended line, has literally been hitting the tops of every single little bear market rally we've had. So it's going to be really key to see if we reject down in here and then retest those 350s over the coming months, or if we break through and hit that 410 and then retest 425. As I said, my bias, I'm pretty biased to the downside here. I'm going to talk through the DIA, the Dow Jones Industrial, because I think this is one that I think needs to be paid attention to. This one, extension line, we're actually trading above the extension line into pretty much of a bullish class phase in here, which is pretty good for from a trading mindset. Hence why I think we've seen the strength in the Dow Jones recently, and why these industrial names have been outperforming is because we're above these trend lines. And you get a lot of macro flip-flops in terms of if you're trading above 200 MAs or you're trading around near all-time highs. You get a lot of that algorithm automatic sort of buying occurring because of certain criteria that's being met. If this was in a bear market down here, you'd probably get more selling, similar to the next index I'm going to show you guys, which is the QQQ, which is why you see more drastic moves to the downside. A lot of it's algo controlled. And sort of robotic trading. But this is a really interesting chart because we topped out at about 357, 360s on the Dow Jones, guys. We're almost there. We're like 5% off all-time highs. All-time highs were 5%. These are typically names that get decimated in a recession. Yet these industrial and dividend names are literally growing and are trading at some of the highest PEs ever. Keep in mind, right, just before COVID, we were at 280. We're at 343 now, right? Just to keep in mind, COVID lows all the way went down to the 190s. So there's potential for a really big downside move in here to the 290s, 300 levels. And so I don't see the risk to reward on these types of trades either. So I'm leaning towards the more bearish, and this is a short-term trading mindset. But as I said, it is above these levels. So for me, until this Dow Jones potentially gets below 325, then I maybe want to play below the 325 for all this potential downside opportunity. Right now, it's still above that trend line. Anything can happen. Maybe we retest, then reject, retest, break through to the all-time highs. I don't know. But as a trader here, 325 is sort of, if it breaks in here, then I want to play the downside in here, and who knows where that can be. So that's the Dow Jones. QQQ, guys, quick update. We're fully in a bear market in the QQQ. We're down, I don't know what, 35% on these on this index. Just an absolute bloodbath. Let me draw the line for the horizontal, all the tops. I mean, look at this extended line, guys. This one just goes straight through all peaks. Same thing. Bang, 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 bang. We're here. We break in through, retest in 290s, and then maybe a test 310, or are we going to fully reject, go more bear market, make new lows down to the 250s before recovering? Don't know. So let's see how that plays out as well. So that's your index coverage, guys. Hopefully that's really helpful from the analysis. The indexes are all pretty much trading, guys, right in a really tight coiled market. And I don't know if that coil is going to get sort of exploited down to the downside, or we're going to break through and still continue on this marginal squeeze. The entire year so far, the SPY's up over 4%. The Dow Jones is up a couple bips. QQQ's up a ton. So we started off the year pretty hot. So there's a lot of I guess, positivity right now in the markets. I know the mainstream media wants to say everyone's sort of positioned bearish, but it's really not the case. There's a ton of buying that it's been occurring the last couple of weeks. So I want to interested to see what happens this week with earnings. I want to then quickly jump into earnings, guys, and then we're going to get into the price action. I'm going to show you guys what strong price action looks like and weak price action looks like. So that could help you with trading. That could help you with investing. How do you say, oh, wow, this looks so strong? You can feel it. You can feel the tape. We're going to talk through that. And I'm going to mention some crypto-related equities rally. And then I'm going to throw in quickly one more. Let's do topic 6. And we'll just look at a couple small cap charts. And there's some small cap lovers out there. Just do small cap charts, heavy volume names. We'll talk through that as well. Hopefully this is helpful so far. We're going to talk through the 3 earnings this week. First off, coming on Tuesday morning, first one that caught my eye was Silvergate Capital right here, guys. This is basically what they call the crypto bank. This is that's a ton of funding to the leverage side for crypto firms, Coinbase, FTX, a lot of them. I think Binance, Sequoia. There's a bunch of crypto related that's under Silvergate. Silvergate's, I think, expected to produce a negative $9 a share cash flow. Right now, the short interest on Silvergate Capital right now, I believe, is 78% of the float. 78% is short. So this is a name you want to be keeping an eye on Tuesday morning, especially if big volatility hits that tape. There will be opportunities long and short, I believe, on this name. Tons of liquidity being traded here. Obviously, a huge amount of short sellers expecting a monster crash in the stock, continued monster crash in the stock, which has been happening the last sort of 7-10 days sessions. Next one, the second of third earnings I'll be watching is Procter and Gamble. I'm going to talk through that chart shortly. That is a consumer staple name. That's your, your razors, your soaps, your, all that stuff. That's a consumer staple name, trading close to pretty all-time highs, close to a record level PE as well. Had a lot of downside 4 or 5 months ago on its last miss due to the dollar strengthening. So I want to see what Procter and Gamble does Thursday. These consumer staple names, guys, picture your Targets, your Walmarts. If you remember those crashes last year in Target and Walmarts, these as an options trader, these trade very, very low premiums, 20%, 15%, some of them 18%. So if a big move does occur in these stocks, it could be very, very lucrative from an options standpoint. So I'm going to be talking through some ways that I might be looking to maybe potentially play this in the small account challenge I have running right now via options. I'll be looking to look at this one. And then we have Netflix after close, a very key level, a very key crucial level on the chart, which I'm going to show you guys. And we nailed this trade a couple weeks ago in the premium server at around $3.33 a share. 2 days later, it dropped all the way to 280s and got rejected. I'm going to talk right through that chart after this. So we have Silvergate, SI, we have PG, Procter & Gamble, and then we have Netflix. Those are the 3 earnings I will be watching this week. Please write them down. Keep an eye on levels. We're going to talk through Silvergate Capital first, 78% short interest. Want to talk through it. This is a chart that's been absolutely decimated. We started running down in here in September of 2020. Ripped all the way up, all-time highs, 225s. We're back down. Let's go all the way to let's just go back to the 5 minutes here. Let's go to the 1 hour, actually. We're going to look at the 1 hour time frame. Silvergate Capital right here. Been bouncing around the 11s and 10s area, guys, for some potentially support after this falling knife from the 20s. This is a name some people are pretty bullish long term because, they have all the connections with the crypto firms. They're the one that sort of needs to be around the longest. So I'd keep an eye on names. If this gets slaughtered on earnings, it might be a potential bounce play based on what's been happening with all these other crypto names: Mara, Bitcoin, Ethereum, SOS, Coinbase, Hut, all these names that have been sort of running. So I'm looking through that. Let's look at Procter & Gamble now. The thing about the consumer staple names are very interesting, guys, because they're very slow movers. So they're not like fast movers like your Teslas, your Netflix, your AMDs, your NVIDIAs. They're not dropping 5, 6 or pushing up 5, 6% a day. These are names that barely move a percentage a day. So you need to have more patience with these kind of names if you're predicting a potential move. So instead of maybe playing weeklies or monthlies, you want to play a couple months out to give them an earnings or 2 earnings call for a move to happen, right? So for example, right, if you just look at Procter & Gamble, this was at about $1.50, got rejected at $1.50, went all the way to 120s. And that's probably about a 1 month move, maybe a month and a half. So you really need to give maybe yourself like a 2 month time window for these names to potentially move out, right? Move down. So I'm looking at these names. I'm looking at Procter & Gamble. How I potentially may play this is maybe I'll play like the 140 puts. Maybe like a March or June 140 puts is maybe what I'm looking at. And I'll see that. I want to see the flows going into earnings. Earnings, if you can recall, is Thursday morning on this name. So that's how I'd look to potentially. I don't see the upside potential, even if it does gap up. It seems like there's a triple top here at 154, triple top right here. So every time it's hit 154, we've rejected. So to me, that shows me that there's actually more selling to be done in here. Same thing up here, guys, at all-time highs at 160s. Reject. 5x rejects at 160. So to me, there's a lot of overhead supply here, and no one wants to be a buyer at these levels. So to me, I think on earnings reports Thursday morning, the potential risk may be to the downside. And, that downside, it may go up 2% on earnings and then maybe down 10% over the next month. So I don't may not play this as a lotto earnings play. I may play it as a potential position for 2 months out, maybe taking a small stab on some puts, maybe 5 to 8, 10% out of the money for a month or 2 out. So that's Procter & Gamble. Then we have Netflix. This is a chart you guys want to be looking at. This has made almost an 80 to 90% retrace off its lows about 7 months ago in here, right? Maybe 8 months ago, 6, 7, 8 months ago, right? It's quite funny because we're now back at the levels. See this line here, guys, is right where it started to sell off before its last earning report when it dropped 30%, 25%. So now if you bought the dip in here, you're up 60, 70, 80, 90%. If you bought anywhere in here, you're close to breaking even. So we're at a weird influx point, right, guys? You have people and long-term investors that are like, oh my God, I'm finally breaking even on this, excuse my language, disgusting name. How do I get out of this? Let's break even money. Let's take in money. Then you have people saying, wow, I'm up so much. I bought the dip. I'm doubled my money almost. Let me take some profits off the table. So now you have sort of just profit taking and selling for tax loss you saw. We're also at a key now technical level, right? We're just filling that bottom wick here where we started the selling last time. So I think Netflix needs to see a really strong earnings report to really hit this gap up wick at 350. If Netflix comes up swinging out of the gates and everything's all good and, blah, 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 guidance is great and things are just extraordinary, there's some big upside gap fills to the 270s, 280s, which would be about another 10, 15% upside. As I said, you're probably going to see a lot of big puts come in on this name, that are going to be large funds hedging their positions, hedging their long positions. So you might see some big put orders for the 280 strike, maybe 250, just in case they miss. They can make some capital to the downside. So that would be my guess, is what you see, maybe some option flow this week into the ticker Netflix, NFLX. As I said, we got some upside positions. If you're long here, 350, 370s, 380s would be targets to the upside. To the downside, I think we could see some rejects off the 300, 280 trend lines. Those would be sort of my downside predictions if they miss earnings. So those are the three earnings, guys. We have Netflix, PG, Procter & Gamble, the consumer staple name, and then Silvergate Capital, 78% short interest. That's your crypto bank. So keep an eye on that. That's Tuesday morning, Thursday morning, and Thursday after hours. 3 earnings. We're not super overflowed with earnings this week. So I think those are 3 names that traders will be watching this week, along with all those community banks and some large banks as well early on in the week. Awesome. So that was topic number, where were we? That was topic number 3, guys. Topic number 4, I want to jump into this. Keep in mind, hopefully everyone's bearing with me here. Looks like we got about 100 viewers on the stream. This is great. Appreciate it. We'll do a couple quick Q&As at the end. I think we're going to have some time, so keep an eye on that top chat in the comment section on the right side of YouTube now. We're going to be doing the Q&A over there, so just think of anything, for anything you guys want to chat through. Let's jump into price action. Everyone knows the ticker, obviously Tesla, Elon Musk. So we're going to talk through price action, and I'm going to show you guys a couple of different examples of strong price action and bearish price action, okay? So Friday on January 6th, Tesla, what was that, last Friday or 2 Fridays ago? Maybe that was actually a Thursday. No, it was a Friday. So if we want to talk through this, right? I want to talk through this. So Tesla was down, 6, 7, 8% in pre-market on January the 6th. This is a 5-minute chart. So let me just take a deep breath. For all the new traders and even experienced traders, right? Price action to me is what the tape. So a tape is a short sense of what is the stock or equity or commodity or index or option. What you're watching, right? What is it doing throughout an extended time or a period through the day, right? So for this, the Tesla's tape from January 6th of 2023, which is just a week ago, guys, a little over a week ago, right? What did it do during that day? Actually had incredible strength and incredible price action. Now, why? Let's look at the 5-minute. I trade a lot off the 5-minute interval. That gives me a good understanding of where the buyers are, where the sellers are, how it's being bought, or every dip being bought, is every spike being sold, right? Yeah, that's how I'm looking at it. That's how I'm dictating what the price action does. And I can feel that. You can feel it through the monitor. You're looking at the screens. You can feel it. Wow, there's so much strength. Wow, there's so much buying on every dip is being swallowed. It's really outperforming the SPY. Tesla's up, 3% while the SPY's down 1%, right? That shows you strong price action, right? Same thing to the bearish side. SPY's green and Tesla's down 3%. Let's talk through that, right? So we're going to cover, first I'm going to show you guys bullish price action, right? So out of the gates at 9:30, you always get some riffraff over the sort of mix up in the first sort of 1, 2, 3 candles, right? And so what happens here is out of the gates, we had a nice volume candle down, 7 million shares, 6 million back up, fully recovered and more. Then we started to build out. And then we started to build out in the 5 minutes some buying above the bottom wick. Then right when we started to break out over the 105s, which is the pre-market high, sort of high here, I immediately bought calls when we broke about that 105 range. And I remember buying calls for this past week's Friday expiration, the 115 or 120 strike. And what happened was it just kept going up. And I didn't even look at these because I saw the price action just started to build in here. A little concern on this double wick down, but then we just saw a new break. And every time, guys, it just kept breaking out. New highs, new buyers came in on the break. Okay, profit take, profit take, profit take. Now this wick right here, right when the 107 wick broke, bam, we made a new high to 109. So now you're seeing traders, wow, okay, this thing's strong. Now we're breaking above the pre-market lows. Everyone who went short pre-market is now red. So now we're seeing even more buying, right? New highs, profit take, consolidate, consolidate, bang, new highs. Profit take, consolidate, 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 consolidate. Now let's retest that 112. Bang, we broke through. That was the end of that trading session, right? 9:30 in the morning, we just kept going, forming new bases, right? So for example, right, we got a base, just out of curiosity, let's just draw these lines, right? We got a base here, right? Right? Then we get a new base here. Then we get a new base here. Then we get a new base here. Breakthrough. Then we get a new base here, right? New highs. We break this wick again at 109. Bang. We see the 112s. Now we see 110s. New base at around 110. Bang. Now we see a whole consolidation phase with a trickle breakout into close. 113s all the way from 101s. That's a 10% plus move in one trading day. One trading day. We saw Tesla move up 10% on January 6th from its lows to highs. And it closed up about 2%. And if you're not a trader and you don't know what's going on, you see Tesla's up 2%, you're like, all right, it's just 2%. But no, you missed the whole move from red to green, right? So now that shows me crazy strength. So I actually did not end up swinging this position on the small account challenge and the options account challenge. I ended up taking profits there into the day around in here, in this zone. But my gut and my conviction was, since it was so strong on Friday, is it gonna be strong again on Monday? And what happened, guys? Let's fast forward to Monday, right? Monday out of the gates, 9:30, we're going from 113 close in here, guys. 113, 114's close. We gap up to 123, right? So that's incredible. That's now a 20% plus move in 2 trading sessions, right? So if you swung calls from entering in here, what a gap up that is, right? You want to be selling then potentially into strength. Then we sort of never got above the 123, 125 zones, and we've had some trouble since there. So right now, that's pretty much resistance. But guys, that shows you strength, right? Now let's go to Tesla showing weakness. I want to show you guys weakness because that is sometimes an easy tape to trade as well. Let's go through Tesla weakness, okay? So this is on the 3rd, when we started around 120 and we sold off all day long and the S&P was not selling off. So volume candle down at the bell. 14 million shares, down 2%, down another percent, 7 million. Then we saw a wick try to come back up. Bang, sellers got hopped on the bandwagon right back. Boom. Then we break through this, right? When we broke through the new lows of the day, sellers jumped on again saying, wow, this is weak. We're going to go to lower lows. We saw 1, 2, 3, 4 candle move to new lows. Then we see some buyers try and step in, consolidate for 5-10 minutes. We try a little wick higher in the 112s. Bang, new sellers rejected again. Right? Then it gets a bit choppy here. New buyers come in. We go back up to try and test those 112s, right? Wick, 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 3 test. Bang, new sellers. Now we may go to new lows. Once we break 110, we're going to have new sellers jump on again. More profit taking, more selling for losses. Bang, we break 110. Boom, now more sellers start to come in, right? Now we're seeing, wow, okay, this is now very weak for the day, right? Now we're seeing people start to cover down in here. Now we're seeing even the selling's now accelerating. And we're seeing even more selling volume come into this name, right? Finally bottoming around 104, 105, right? Look how bearish this tape was, though, right? From 9:20 in the morning at 119 a share, it dropped almost 10 to 15% in a span of 5 hours and just brutally decimated tape. Look at this tape down. So that is what I call bearish price action. Anytime there's some dip buying or anytime there's a consolidation phase and we spike up, it immediately gets rejected. You can feel it through the monitors, guys. You can feel it through your mobile devices. You can feel it through your iPhones or Samsungs. You can say, wow, oh my gosh, that selling just came hard back in. Just it hasn't bounced all day, right? You start to say these terms to yourself. It hasn't bounced all day. Sellers continue to pick up. There's been a lot of volume, right? Tesla's trading hundreds of millions of shares during these sessions, right? So someone you have to respect the selling. And as a trader, if I see this selling, I gotta respect it. It just seems that someone's not out of the position yet, or something. People are not done selling off this name. And when you see that, it's easy to potentially hop in on any spikes to try and short for some profits down. And that's what everyone sort of did in here until we got to new lows around the 104 range. So that's an example, guys, of really bearish price action. That's a bearish tape. So hopefully that's helpful when I'm explaining positive price action versus bearish. And as I say, you guys read through the tape, like that's what's dictating where this stock's going to go. The price action of the buyers and sellers that are trading this equity index commodity option, whatever it may be, whatever you guys are out there trading. So hopefully that's really helpful, because for me, price action is sort of how I make trades. If things are really bullish, every dip's being bought up, every new high is being made, I'm going to say there's a great chance that we could continue to make new highs, right? And if same thing with a bearish tendency downward, if things are just continuing getting blasted, you could potentially hop in short or potentially ride some puts to the downside because things continue to sell. So as a trader, guys, as I said in the earlier session, I don't care if things go to the moon or things go to zero, right? I don't care if something goes from $100 to bankruptcy, because I can short and make some potential money going on the downside. If things are, if someone solves cancer and, they have awesome phase 3 results and there's crazy analyst upgrades and blah, 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 we could hop on that and ride that bandwagon up. I'm just here to scalp a little bit of what's going on up or down. That's sort of how I look at it within a given time frame or market. Let's jump into topic 5, guys. A lot of the crypto lovers out there, crypto-related equities have been rallying. Let's look at Coinbase. I know this was actually a common trade through one of our option traders in Premium Chat Discord. And he was buying down in here some longer dated contracts. I believe they may have expired last week or this week. I haven't caught up with the trade. But they ran, I think, close to around 700, 800, 1,000% on some of these calls. And, this has been on a drastic move, 15%, 12%. That's about 29% move. Then we have a 37% move plus another 5. This is up 40%, guys, in 5 sessions. If you even caught the lows in the 31s, you're now probably close to almost up 50%. So, that's a big move, guys, in 5 sessions off the bottom. That's Coinbase. Let's look at Bitcoin. What's that trading at tonight? Another drastic full candle finish. As you can see, Bitcoin is now sort of hitting that sort of overhead resistant level. It's probably why it's had some trouble breaking through the last 3 sessions here. It topped out, tried to break, bottomed out, tried to break again. Looks like it's topping out. If we break the 21, though, we have a nice fill to 22,800. If we break 22,800, Bitcoin's got a nice run to maybe 24, 25 zones. That's probably where I think you might see this bear market rally sort of maybe settle a bit. If we get up in here, maybe up in here. So keep an eye on those levels. I'm showing you guys the levels. We got 1, 2 level here. And then things, I guess, continue to get crazy FOMO, and this rallied another 10, 15%. I mean, then you maybe could get a crazy marginal squeeze up to 30K. That seems pretty drastic, though. That would be a full 100% move off the lows, and maybe longer term you could get that, but I still think there's a lot of pressure on these Bitcoin names. But anyway, we're looking just at the charts and price action, right? As I say, we can't really fight the price action. We cannot fight buyers. We cannot fight sellers. You have to sort of respect it. You have to respect what's going on in the marketplace. I'm looking at some other names. Mara is a name I've played in the past. This has had a drastic move from 313 up to the 750s. That would be a continued watch if BTC continues to rally. Other names, another highly shorted name, I believe, SOS. So reverse split name. That's on a nice sort of 7-day tear going up. That has some resistances around the 10s and the 8s and 10s. I would keep an eye on that name if Bitcoin continues to rally. Hot, I believe this is a mining name. This is another one like Mara. It's been on a tear. Has some gap fills up to the 3s. If that continues to squeeze. So there's a lot of these Bitcoin names, guys. You can see these daily engulfing charts. I mean, things are really moving to the upside. Keep in mind, these names are down like 70, 80, 90, 95% in the year. So everyone's getting all FOMO'd and crazed up and all bulled up. Everyone's putting on their bullhorns. Oh my gosh, everything's up 40, 50%. Yeah, you know what? But it's still down 75% on the year. So, you could get all bulled up, but you're still trading under these bearish trend lines here. So, until some of these trend lines start to break, maybe, for example, I'm just giving an example of a name, right? Where what name is this? Hut. This is a minor. Until this is broken clear through 3s and 4s, maybe back up into the 7s, then I wouldn't be all bulled up, jazzed up. This is still trading near sort of all-time lows down in here. So it's only, so you just got to keep in mind on the drastic parts of the move. People seem to get pretty excited and short-minded when things are green. When things are red, it's things have been really red this year. So, this past year on some of these names. So, we've seen moves from 20, 30, 50, 80, $100 down to like $1. We saw Carvana go to $300 to $4. So we've seen some big moves in ticker prices. So keep in mind, I'm going to cover some quick small caps here. Let me see. We're going to jump into topic 6, guys, and then we're going to do an 8-minute Q&A. I'm going to try and bang these out in 4 minutes. Bear with me. Think about your questions on the side. I'll do my best to try and answer, but I hope this session is pretty helpful so far. We've covered price action. We've covered some of my red trades earlier on in the year with puts and short bias. We've covered the SPY, QQQ, and Dow Jones, the technicals analysis, right? So we've covered the extensions and where these bear market rallies have sort of peaked and then sort of rejected, which were kind of right there on the trend line. So things are going to get interesting. And then we've talked through some earnings this week. And then we've talked through Tesla price action for an example, from an exemplary standpoint of what good tape looks like versus a bad tape and how you guys can actually make trades, by yourselves and how you can see the price action, right? Okay, so let's jump into some small cap watches here. I'm watching a couple. BBAI, this was a runner, was it last week? 3 sessions ago. Jumped 40%, topped out at 385. 385 here. No reason not to top out at 380. Sort of that's where the resistance was. Got rejected. Big volume, 112 million shares. Next day, dropped 21% on an inside bar day. I'm going to potentially be watching this for a potential bounce. If maybe they could find some support in the 180s to 2s. Maybe that could be a short-term bottom. Had a $900 million contract order, I believe, with was it the U.S. Army or was it the Air Force? It might have been Air Force. One of the three military branches. So I'll be watching this one. Had a nice volume. BBAI. It's a small med cap runner. Market cap around 300 million. Buyer, I believe this was another runner a couple weeks ago or a couple days ago. It ran from about $2 all the way up to like $9. Now it's on a trajectory down. Looking to see maybe if the bottom's in and around 3s for a potential scalp in here this week. I like to try and catch some of these at the volume still pretty good. Easy Go, this is a less volume type name, but the chart, you can't really ignore the chart price action. It's gapped up. Now consolidating at new highs. There's a potential gap fill up to the 130s here. Ticker traded at 110, so 10, 15, 20% upward premium into the 130s here maybe. Key break won't be 130s to get to 170s 2s. That's easy GO. Now keep in mind, I don't know anything. I don't know what any of these companies do. I know nothing about any of the balance sheets or anything like that. I'm just looking at purely price action and technicals, guys. I know nothing about any of that, so I don't swing any of these names. If I day trade small caps or med caps, if I ever touch them, it's always day trades and it's always via the technicals, whether it's a dip buy, shorting tops, whatever it may be. B1, another nice name that's showing some bullish upside. 3 days of consolidating at a really high level. This name has some potential upside into the 6s, maybe 7s. Based on the chart, right? We've topped out at 7s. We'd have to break 378 pretty clean to get to those 7s. BBIG, this one hit scanner into close. I watched it into close. There's a volume crusade here. Just in the last 30 minutes alone, this thing ran about 20% on heavy volume. A couple million shares came in here. Maybe like 6 to 10 million shares, guys, came in within just the last 30 minutes of trading. Keep an eye on BBIG this week. Highly unusual volume the last hour of trading. Now, obviously, high short names are getting sort of attacked or they're getting targeted from some buy side here. Maybe that was the reason, or maybe there's potentially news coming. Not sure. But the volume really picked up Friday afternoon. So this will be a name I'll be watching this week, BBIG, to see if maybe if volume continues to be picked up and maybe the buy side starts to get hit. Looked at short interest on this name. It looks like 30-something% of the float is still short. So that's a pretty drastic amount. Or maybe it was 30-something million shares were short. I think it was 30-something million shares, excuse me. We're short on this name, BBIG. But keep an eye, a lot of volume. Maybe a pullback into the low 60s, high 50s could be a nice potential move for the upside. But yeah, watching that name. I'm going to be watching that name this week just because of the unusual volume. SDC, Smile Direct Club, you've probably seen the silly commercials. They compete with like Invisalign. So it's like you're, clear through trying to get a nice smile. Anyway, business standpoint, from a technical standpoint, no question why we didn't sort of hit these 80s line and reject. We did. So I'm watching this name as well. Big volume bar day. Look at this green bar versus the last 180 trading days, maybe 80, maybe 90 trading days. Last big volume candle was around from 1 to 160s. SDC, so that would just be a watch down in here. So that would be a watch. So those are a couple small to mid cap names. This market cap I think is probably like 200 million, 300 million, somewhere in there. So those would be some small cap names I'm just watching, just based on the charts, guys, and the unusual volume. So that's what I'm looking at for potential continuation or dip buying names. So that was BBAI, BIOR, EZGO, BWEN, BBIG, and SDC. Those are a few small cap names, med cap names I'll be watching this week. And then as well as you get some of those memester names, BBY. What else you got in there? APRN, which got pretty much torched on Friday, I believe. Yeah, it was up 10%, but I think this name was like super sold off hard. Yeah, look at this huge red selling candle wick. Haven't even looked at the AMC GMEs of the world. But AMC looks pretty damn weak. This looks like it's going to continue lower here. Has a nice gap fill down to $3, 3 something. That could be a nice level maybe for a bottoms try. GME, same thing. Trend looks pretty weak here as well. Nice gap fill all the way down to the 9s. It's currently trading in the 20s. It's still below triple bottom trend here. Trying to stay above 20, which has been the bottom for a while now. So if it stays above 20, it could be a nice sort of upward maybe trend restarting. If it stays below 20, could really reject down to that 11 range. So yeah, there's a lot of opportunity on a lot of these names at the end of the day, guys, long or short. I mean, you could have played BBY long for a few days, made a great gain, and then you could have went short on it and sold into the strength. And with volatility, as you say, there's so much opportunity, guys, to make money long and short. But anyway, gonna jump into some Q&A now, guys. Hopefully this session was really helpful. Would love to see some, hit the like, hit some comments. We have about 100 viewers here, guys. So let's shoot some questions. If you guys are going to jump off, we do have a Discord. You could check it out, Spud Zone Discord. Our tech team, I think, just threw in the link on the side column there. Feel free to connect. We've got thousands and thousands of awesome members, students, as well as testimonials from the last few years of sort of being in business. So it's a great spot to learn. It's not only a great spot to learn, it's a great spot to communicate. We've got people trading futures. We've got people trading options all day. We've got people trading small med caps. We've got people trading large caps, commodities. So there's just so much awesome knowledge in there. So I highly recommend just checking it out if you're looking for a spot to potentially learn and be in a great community. You can check out the Spud Zone Discord on the right side. But let's jump into some Q&A now, guys. If you guys have some questions, let's get that rocking. Try to keep the questions away from certain particular tickers. I don't really want to be jumping into my technical analysis on tickers and taking away from everyone else's experience on the stream. So if you guys could just maybe jump into any type of trading questions or experience questions or any things you're doing well at, doing bad at. I've done terrible at a lot of things when I first started trading. Blew a ton of accounts. So it happens. It's all part of the game. You just gotta obviously learn and get in a good groove with yourself. So feel free to shoot away, guys, some questions, and I can help maybe try and answer some. If there's no questions, I obviously I could jump off. Do you trade options on small med caps same week like Dennis Mungno? Hopefully I pronounced that right. Do you trade options on small med caps same week like BBY, BWEN, Carvana? I do not trade options on any smaller med caps 95% of the time. The reason is why. The reason is usually the premiums are extremely high. So you need a crazy drastic move, 10, 15, 20, 30, 40% up or down just to be able to maybe make a little bit of profit on those names. I believe you're much better off potentially just trading those names through equity, shorting Carvana, buying Carvana long, buying BBY long, shorting BBY Like that's how I'd be looking to potentially trade it up and down. The options to me are just so expensive. I think the premium was like 500%. Normally, an option premium on a large cap stock is typically anywhere between 30 and 60%. So you're like completely overpaying just for the premium and the spread. So I typically stay away from options on that because typically the market maker wins, I don't know, 80, 90% of the time it seems on those big volatile drastic names. So I just play them through equity. And obviously if you have a small account, it's hard to do that. I'd probably just be a watcher then. That's how I'd probably look to play. But I don't typically trade those via options. Hopefully that's helpful. Dennis Mugno. Um, where are we on the next question? Um, uh, no problem. Hopefully that's helpful. Glad I can help. Martin, how would you start trading a small account for options? I'm currently doing that small account challenge. It's been a little choppy. I started with 5 grand. I ran all the way up to $9,700 in 2 days. And now I'm back down to 3,200 with a start of five. So now I'm red on the year with it. It's going to be, I think, a volatile year. I'm hoping not to blow it and go to zero, but then I'll just have to restart over. But the goal with that one is to just take nice, educated, calculated decisions and risks based on the technicals. I want to be super patient with that one. I want to be not necessarily too early on the trade, like I think I just was with Caterpillar, Starbucks, and some of the spy puts. I think I need to be a little bit more patient with that. We got Fed coming up in February. Could be a good time for some more volatility. But yeah, in growing a small options account, just using a very small percentage of your account, I think will be the way to potentially do it. That's how I'm going to try and do it. Just by playing a small percentage of the account, trying to win a couple of trades, 20, 30, 40, 50% gainers, while keeping those stops around 10, 20%, and just going to go for base hits and try and slowly build it out. I mean, it's a marathon. I'm in no rush to build that account out. So I'm going to see what I can do with the 5 grand. And if I need to start over, I'll have to start over and take the L. But I'm going to continue to try and build it up. We just started last week on it. So I've seen some, almost doubled it within 2 days. And, now I'm back to red on it. But it's totally fine. It just shows you that the opportunity is there. So hopefully that's helpful. That's how I'm going to try and treat a small account. Dennis Mugno, okay. Yes, BBY calls you swung for over 250%. Yeah, the stock ran from $1.30 to $5.70. And if you think about it, you only made 250% on the calls, right? If half of that move didn't happen, you may only be break even or even red. So that's what I mean by how expensive those premiums are. The stock ran almost 200% plus. Actually, it did go over 250% plus. So you basically made the same as if someone bought the dip. So that's why with super volatile names like that, I don't like to play options on through those. Do I play one DTE or ODT or weekly? Sean Voleg. I try and stay away from ODTs, 1DT, unless I'm like 90%, 95% certain on the move that's going to happen, like China invading Taiwan or the Fed, cutting rates and tech is flying to the moon, that stuff like that. Unless it's a guaranteed and I feel it, I'll trade the next day or a couple days out and I'll try and trade through that. But other than that, I try and use like a week out minimum. Weekly, so like a Monday to Friday sort of trade setup, typically around in the money or maybe a tad out of the money, or I try and trade multi-week out. Sonny's Gadget Reviews, what's the best strategy to trade SPY, SPX things? Don't trade SPX much, typically just SPY, but that kind of goes in my last answer to, I think it was, who was it, Aaron or Sean? I think it was Sean Volig. Aaron, I'll get to your Aaron Frutos, get your question after this. Sonny's, in trading SPY, as I said, guys, I always aim for base hits, 10, 20, 30%. I always have my target levels in mind, and I always have a stop loss in mind. Therefore, I can never be greedy when targets get hit. I think a lot of folks end up losing trades because they just get too greedy. They don't move that stop loss above their entry price. If the trade's really doing well, you can always just move your stop loss to your entry. Therefore, if you stop out and it goes against you, you break even. What's the worst case that happens? You break even. That's incredible, right? Just breaking your loss on the trade is breaking even. So if you could get to that standpoint, you can do obviously really well and really manage that risk accordingly. And it's always great because then your winners, you're like, wow, I really won that trade well. So those are always some things to do on some options as well. Because options move really fast and they're obviously very, very high risk. Um, yeah. So let's Aaron Fruita's ARVL is that Arrival opinion. Lots of talk on this one. Arrival, yeah, it's gonna be on my watch list this week because it has an obscene amount of unusual volume. It's traded its most volume ever as a ticker since 2020. Looks like in 2020 when it opened, it was just a SPAC maybe. I'm not sure. So it's hit the low of around 15 cents, and it ran all the way to almost a dollar. 93 million, 146 million. So this will be on watch potentially as a potential maybe a trade idea if the momentum comes back. Got some resistance in the 80s, 90s, more resistance at the 110s, 114s. But yeah, this is the high volume in the last two sessions. As I said, you can't ignore price action and volume, and this is a name that's had both. So I will be a watch. Don't know obviously anything about the company, just looking at technicals alone. Could be some more wiggle room to the upside there. I'll be watching. Hopefully that's helpful, Aaron. Josh Wells, early on you talked about, Josh Wells here, early on you talked about accepting losses. In 2021, I did very well. However, in 2022, I took on a new day job and my stop loss didn't hold. Now I'm down 40K and have only around 4K all stuck. Yeah, I think when it comes down to accepting losses, it's a very tricky scenario because there's a lot of people who can take on more risk or have a more appetite for risk. And it really all depends on yourself and your gut and what the trend's saying. For me, I try not to let my emotions get involved. And so what I mean by that is if the technical levels are breaking down and I'm long on a stock or I'm long on an equity or I'm long Tesla or I'm long Apple and things are breaking down on me, or just for an example, right guys? And things are going below where my mental stop loss is or my stop loss was, or I kept moving it down. At what point does that trade do I say, you know what? I didn't have, my conviction was wrong on this trade. I'm going to take the loss. And for me, I've held on for a really long time when I first started trading, and that's when I took my biggest, largest losses. And so what I've learned from that over the years is I just cut my losses quickly when things aren't working out well. I cut my losses, I get my capital re-together, and I then make another educated, conviction trade. And that's sort of how I look at sort of managing my losses. And that could be, I like to say my 10% rule. I always say this to students and members when trading. I have like a 10% rule. So if a stock or an option or something I'm trading that day or that minute, that hour, that second hits my 10%, that's it. I take the L. I move on. It was not a good trade. That's typically where you'll see a lot of stop losses. You'll as well see that to the upside. If the thing's running 10% to the upside, a lot of people take profits at 10%. Just a key sort of mental level. So yeah, Josh Ross, hopefully that's helpful. It all depends on really your appetite for risk. I've seen tons of crazy screenshots across silly social media and all these things. I'm down 99.7%, and it's like, where could you could have taken losses down 70%, could have taken them down 50%, could have taken them down 30%, and you'd still have a ton of capital to play with. The key to trading is actually keeping capital and holding on to your capital. That's the hardest part about trading. Because you're going to have a ton of good wins, but your losses could really add up, and that comes back to the overtrading component, which many of us obviously do. I've overtraded a zillion times. I think many traders struggle with that, but I think keeping capital is really the priority, and how can you survive to trade tomorrow? Because when you get a trade opportunity of a lifetime, whether that's short or long, you want to have capital to actually trade on it, right? You don't want to say, oh, I've lost my last 70 trades and I have no money to trade on this awesome setup, right? So at the end of the day, it comes down to having capital to do something. So hopefully that helps. That's Josh Wells. Dennis Mungo. With this being volatile, you won't be trying Harmony Archer same day. SPX plays late day. No, I don't really trade the SPX ODTs. It's just not my wheelhouse. It's not my experience. It's too stressful for me. I can't watch that like 30-second 1 minute chart. Things just going absolutely berserk, and it's not. I don't want to be in that. I don't want to be doing that. So I look at a more larger time frame, 5 minute, 10 minute, 15-minute, multi-day, multi-week sort of approach on some of the option stuff. Day trades are obviously all within the 5, 10, 15, 1 hour trend line. Sean Vlog or Martin. Martin, thanks, bro. Going to check out your Discord as well. Yeah, Martin, feel free to check out the Discord. As I said, we have thousands of testimonials from all the way back to 2019, 2020, as well as a full scale options team. So you can feel free to check all some of that out. Some really great traders in there and great people as well. Sort of a no commotion, no noise sort of Discord. Sean Vlog, what broker do you use? I use Fidelity for my IRAs and some stuff in there, and then Webull I do for most of my day trading and stuff. I've been on Webull for a little after since they launched. One of the first guys on Webull pretty early on. I love the platform and what they've done with it, so I've just sort of stayed there. They have a great community page as well, which you guys can also probably follow me there too. Many of you probably do. No, I don't use TD. Josh Wells. Okay. Dennis, we went through. Gajan Nadara. Sorry if I said your name wrong. Can we ask these types of questions in your Discord? Yeah, of course. I probably won't even have the best answer. There'll be other people with other great answers, but feel free to shoot Discord questions in the main trading floor or the options trading floor. There's obviously mods that can help provide some educational content, or myself will answer the best questions as possible. Sunny Gadget Reviews. Josh Wilson here. I probably have more expired options than I were to cut loss. Yeah, I think so, Sonny. If you're losing a lot on expired options or things are getting pretty ugly, just maybe you want to look at longer dated things so you don't lose as much and give yourself some more time for the move to actually occur. So if you're playing maybe ODT or 1D ODT or 3 days out, you can maybe play weeks out. That gives you more upside or gives you more time, right? Because the biggest thing with option is the time decay, where you run out of time basically for your move to happen up or down. Joshua Welty, can you look up AAL? It's up 30% in a few days with no pullback. Yeah, Joshua, the airlines had some pretty good news. They were a lot of demand still and sold out flights, and they just keep going and a lot of upgrades and stuff. So I'm not trying to short any airlines right now, and they've been pretty beat up, so they may have some more room for the upside. We'll see. It seems like people are piling into them. Sean Vlog, do you swing options? If I swing options, yeah, I do like to swing options. It'll be multi-week, multi-month out. And when my move occurs, I typically am not greedy. I like to sell and take some off the table. As I said, when I swing options, my stop losses are usually around 20-30%. That's my sort of threshold when taking a loss on swinging options. That's just obviously me and my preference, of course. But yeah, hopefully that's helpful, guys. We're about 8 minutes over. We're still almost 100 of you guys viewing, which is awesome. Share and like the video with friends, family, coworkers, etc. Hope it was a great session. It was, I'm like out of voice here. I have a coffee next to me. Ran out of voice, but I'll be fresh up pretty early tomorrow, seeing where the price action is overseas, seeing where the price action comes in the morning, see what the futures market did to us at 7-8 a.m. So I'll be up pretty early around 7-8 a.m. guys. And let's trade well this week. Feel free to shoot any other questions in the Discord, or connect with any of the tech or customer support mods within our Discord or YouTube section on the right. But appreciate all the time, guys. Great questions. Great session as always. Probably see you guys next Sunday for the next session. Definitely give a like or comment if this was helpful. Obviously, I prep 2, 3, sometimes even 4 hours for these sessions for you guys. So, yeah, hopefully it's helpful. And yeah, see you guys soon, and let's trade well. Take care.